Alright y'all, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kirsty if you're new here. So today I'm doing a video all about being in a sorority, the whole process of it, how I feel about it, you know, just Greek life, everything that has to do with that. I was in a sorority for a little while, and I am actually no longer in the sorority, so I can go into all of that and everything. But I have a feeling this video is probably going to be really long, so I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to start from the beginning. So I went off to college in fall of 2014, and before I had even gotten to college, I was interested in being in a sorority. I had already looked into all that stuff. I had researched different sororities, the specific sororities that were at the college I was going to, all that stuff. So I went into college knowing I wanted to be in a sorority. I don't really know how I came to wanting to be in a sorority. I think I just, you know, found it interesting. I think also because in high school I had this group of friends, like there was like 12 of us girls and we were all best friends and everything, and so going off to college I think I wanted to find something that was similar to that. So I decided to join a sorority. Okay, so I'm going to start off with rush week or recruitment week. That's what my college called it. So at every university, every college, this process is going to be completely different. So I'm just going to be talking about, you know, what I went through, obviously, because that's really all I can speak on. So at my school, there is no Greek housing, so there's no sorority or fraternity houses. So during rush week or recruitment week, we went to different like rooms on campus that the sorority would set up their stuff in, and you know, go in and do that whole thing. So at other schools where they do have housing, you go to the actual house, but at my school we went into like different rooms. So anyways, so the first like 2 days we went and we would just like met with every sorority. At my school there was 6 sororities, so once again, every school is different. Some schools have 30 sororities, some schools have 2, mine had 6. So the first couple of days was just going to each sorority and just meeting them, just, you know, talking to a few of the sisters, just meeting them. And then from there, the nights, we did it at night. The nights were like themed, I guess. So like one night would be sisterhood, the next would be philanthropy, you know, things like that, where the night was kind of themed around and what you would kind of talk about with the girl that you're talking to. So this is kind of like this is actually an interview, essentially. So you go in and at least the way that my school does it is you would go in and you would sit down with one of the girls who's in the sorority and you guys would talk. She would ask you some questions, you tell her about yourself, you know, whatever, you'd get to talking. So basically during this time, you're basically interviewing for a spot in this sorority. So you want to definitely be like as honest as possible. Like, don't, you know, if this girl is telling you that she loves horses and you don't care about horses, don't be like, oh yeah, I love horses too. That actually happened to me in one of the rooms I went into. The girl was just going on and on about horses, and I'm like, I've never even been on a horse. Like, I don't really care about horses. Something to keep in mind is that you can go into a room or a sorority house, whatever, and you can have a conversation with a girl and you could just click immediately, like perfect match, and you get sit on that sorority. Or you can go into a room and have a terrible conversation, so boring, so awkward, and be like, wow, like I hate this sorority, I'm not joining this one. But you just have to remember that, you know, everyone in the sorority is different. It's a mix of people in there. Not everyone has the same personality, you know, not everyone has the same exact interests. So just remember that you could have had a terrible conversation with one girl, but you know, there's another girl in there who you could have an amazing conversation with, you know? So just keep that in mind, that just because there's one bad like little meeting thing or one good one doesn't, you know, mean that's how it is for the whole sorority. As you go through and as, you know, the nights go on, you narrow down the sororities. So at the end of each night at my school, we would get on this like computer and we would rank the sororities that we, you know, spoke to that day. So like the one that we loved the most, we'd put in number 1, number 2, whatever. And then the sororities themselves would rank or like judge us. And so like if you ranked one sorority really high and they also ranked you really high, like you're most likely gonna go back to them the next day. So it's about you wanting them and them wanting you, but most importantly, them wanting you. So this can be like pretty scary and intimidating because you have to make these random girls like you enough to invite you back. So like I said earlier, just being honest and being yourself, because at the end of the day, if you were not and you end up joining that sorority, like that'll quickly be found out that you were totally faking it the whole time. So another thing just to keep in mind. At my school, in my particular sorority, I remember, you know, after I had gone through recruitment and then I was on the other side in the sorority, like interviewing girls who wanted to join, we judged them on specific things, such as, you know, their put togetherness, like, you know, was their hair a mess or did they look like they actually tried, how well the conversation went, how well we thought they would fit in with our particular values. You know, if I sat down with a girl and she was like, oh yeah, I drink every day, I do meth, like I would give her a bad rating, because you don't want that in your sorority. So just little things like that. So something else to remember when you're going through this whole process, make sure to put effort in, because what you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it. So make sure, like, you know, I'm not telling you that you have to wear a pound of makeup. I'm just saying, like, maybe, hey, like, brush your hair, like, make sure you don't have a coffee stain on your shirt, you know, different things like that. Going on with my story. So as the nights went on, I started to really lean toward a couple of the sororities. There were 2 in particular that I was like, honestly, either one I'd be okay with. I really liked both of them. And then the other ones I were just kind of like, eh. There was 2 that I was like, I definitely am not interested in, and the other 2 were just kind of like, eh, whatever. So the nights went on, and like I said, the amount of sororities you go back to gets smaller and smaller. You're narrowing it down, and the sororities are also narrowing down, you know, how many girls to bring back. So I was set on these 2 sororities, and I came in one day and I saw that I was not going back to either of them. So basically what that means is they dropped me. Like, they did not want me to come back. So for whatever reason, this can happen for, you know, 1,000 different reasons, which at the time I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I had such great conversations with the girls that I talked to, like, we really got along, this and that. But it could just be that, you know, each sorority can only bring in so many people. So, you know, depending on how all that works, like, you could have just been like one person away, but they can only take so many people. So you can't let it, like, you can't take it personally, I guess. you will probably take it personally, but like just don't, because it's really, at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal. And something that they told us the whole time throughout recruitment is that you know how it all works, you are gonna end up where you belong. So they kept saying that because, you know, girls would be, you know, extremely upset and crying, you know, oh, I didn't get into this, like, this is my dream, like, oh, I'm not joining any sorority now, you know. You will end up where you belong. So keep that in mind. So after I got dropped from, so don't set your whole heart and your whole life on one sorority, because you may not get invited back. You may not join that sorority. So it is so important to keep your options open, keep your mind open. You know, just because your best friend wants to join a certain sorority doesn't mean you have to join that sorority. Doesn't mean you know, you don't have to. Me and my freshman year college roommate, we joined separate sororities. We still stayed best friends. Like, it's okay to be in a different sorority than your friends. After I got dropped from the two sororities that I had thought that I wanted, I was pretty discouraged, and I was upset, of course, and I ended up, you know, still going on with recruitment, still, you know, going to the other sororities that I, you know, had already said that, you know, I didn't want, but, you know, you still have to go through with it. I ended up joining a sorority, obviously, and it was the right choice for me. Like, it really was. Like, I made so many amazing friends. I met so many amazing people through my sorority. Like, I would not go back and change it whatsoever. And once you, like, you know, get to their side and then you really realize, you know, I'm really glad that I did not join the sororities that I had thought I wanted, because I realized, how do I say this? I realized that majority of the girls in these certain sororities were people that I would not enjoy being friends with. So I ended up where I belong. So now I'm going to talk about my experience actually being in a sorority. So this will hopefully help you figure out if, you know, joining one is right for you or whatever. Whatever. I joined, I loved it, I was very involved, I went to all the events, everything. And then I ended up being on academic probation because I was not doing well in my classes. That's a story for a different day. So in my sorority, when you were on academic probation, you were limited to what you were allowed to do. So we have social events and different functions, things like that. So we were limited on how many we could attend. And how many things we were allowed to, how many events and things we were allowed to be involved in. So this for me was really annoying because I loved being involved, I loved doing events, going to events, participating, all that stuff. And so now I couldn't. So that was like frustrating. Then time went on and I, you know, the next semester still on academic probation, the next semester, you know, continued. So it got to the point where I didn't even feel like I was part of the sorority just because I wasn't allowed to do anything. I had to, you know, show up to the mandatory events, but I couldn't really participate in anything. I couldn't hold any positions inside the sorority, so it was just becoming sort of like, it wasn't fun anymore. You know, I was paying, you know, my dues and my fees, but I wasn't able to do anything. So that's something else to remember, that you do have to pay. you have to pay your member dues. There's certain fees and stuff you have to pay when you're in a sorority. That, you know, people are always like, oh, you're paying for your friends, blah, blah, blah. If that's what you think, that's fine. I don't think I paid for friends because I wasn't friends with everyone in my sorority. There were some people in there that I did not enjoy. So I was not paying to be their friend. I wasn't friends with them. I was friends with girls in other sororities. I wasn't paying to be their friends because I was, you know. So if that's what you think, I don't care. That's fine. Whatever. But you do have to pay money. Again, each sorority, every college, everything is different. So some college and some sorority might have really, really high dues. Other ones, you know, may have really low. It all depends. I was paying money and I wasn't able to do anything. So I felt like it was just kind of like, at this point, it was kind of like a waste. I think I was in the sorority for 2 years. About. And yeah, 2 years, that sounds right. So basically I was on academic probation for the majority of the time I was in the sorority. So, you know, I had gone through the whole big little process. I had a big, I ended up getting a little, you know, the next year, which I can go into all that stuff in a different video. So, you know, I had done everything. I had met new people. I had made friends. So it got to a point where I would say it wasn't really worth it for me anymore to be paying, you know, these yearly or semesterly dues and just not really being able to do anything. What had happened was my academics had gotten so bad and I had essentially kind of just stopped doing school. And I'm still not really sure if I was expelled or if I willingly left the sorority. I don't really know, but basically I am no longer in the sorority. I am still friends with all of the people I have met in the sorority. There was never any like drama with me leaving. Like, people leave and people get expelled from sororities. You know, it happens for different reasons. So yeah, I am no longer in the sorority, which is fine. It just wasn't for me anymore. When I first joined, I loved it. I was so in love. It was great. But as time goes on and, you know, in my certain situation, you know, not being able to do anything, it got to a point where I was like, this isn't worth it for me anymore. So I removed myself or got myself removed, whatever happened. So that is my story. I think I covered everything, from rush week to joining and everything, yeah. So now I'm gonna get into a little bit of if you're kind of on the fence about whether, you know, Greek life is for you or not. I'm just gonna give you some things to, you know, think about to, you know, hopefully help you make your decision a little bit easier. Kind of like pros and cons. So like I mentioned, there is money that is involved. You do have to pay money. So maybe if you are not financially stable enough, or, you know, or if your parents don't want to pay for it, however your money works, if you can't afford it, then that's something to consider. I know my sorority in particular did have payment plans. So there is options, but, you know, if you're not comfortable with spending however much amount of money, then, you know, maybe you should look into something else. I don't know. Like, there's different clubs and stuff on campus. Like, there's other things you can do besides joining a sorority. Just also keep that in mind. Also, there are a lot of obligations involved. So for me, every Sunday night we had to attend chapter, which is just like all the girls in the sorority come together and we basically have a meeting. So that was every single Sunday. And then there were other events that were mandatory events, such as philanthropy events, any sort of like charity event, all that stuff. We had to do like service hours, which was basically like doing charity and stuff. And then you're also expected to show up to other events such as like, you know, different fraternities and sororities will put on events and contests and competitions, things like that, and you're expected to show up and support. So there are a lot of obligations involved. You are expected to be active and show up and do your part. So if you have too much school or you work full time or, you know, whatever, if you don't see yourself being able to make it to all these things, it also might not be for you. I know for us, it got to the point where we would get fined if we missed things. So again, more money involved. Overall, I'm glad I joined a sorority. I'm glad I went through the process. It definitely made my first 2 years of college, I think, much more enjoyable. College can be obviously scary, but I went away for college. I was like 4 hours away from home in a place that I had like never been. So, you know, it can get lonely. You know, I had roommates and everything, but it can still get lonely. So it was nice having, you know, 100-something girls that I could call or text or, you know, hang out with whenever. You know, there was always like someone available, you know, to study with, to go get coffee, you know, whatever it is. So that was really nice to have. So if you think Greek life is for you, I wish you the best in rush week, recruitment week, and yeah, I guess that's it. I think I covered everything. Alright, so that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was super long, so I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I covered everything for you guys. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.